What he said to Mr. Arbery.
The prosecution and defense of the Ahmaud Arbery trial begins their opening statements, and states are pushing back against President Biden's COVID-19 vaccination mandates.
Why are they getting in the way of trying to protect and save lives?
And in sports, round 2 of the high school football playoffs kick off tonight. Newswatch starts right now. Good evening, I'm Olivia Roman. Welcome to Newswatch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio. A West Virginia man has been sentenced to life in prison for the 2019 killing of his girlfriend's teenage daughter. Andy McCauley did not speak during his trial or sentencing yesterday in Morgan County Circuit Court. He was convicted last month of first-degree murder and other charges for causing the death of the 15-year-old Riley Crossman. Chantel Oakley, Riley's mother, described Riley during the sentencing hearing as an amazing kid and loving daughter. She asked a judge to impose the maximum penalty on McCauley. A West Virginia elementary school counsel has been charged with possession of child pornography. Documents filed in U.S. District Court charged 42-year-old Todd Rotze with possession of free pubescent child pornography. Rotze, who works at Pinch Elementary in Kanawha, was visited elementary school counselor of the year in 2016. Kanawha County School District says Rotze remains employed but has not been at the school since October 27th. The Charleston Gazette-Mail says they reached out to Rotze for comment but were unable to reach him. Rotze is being held at the South Central Regional Jail. It is unclear if Rotze has a lawyer. The trial of the men accused of killing the Ahmaud Arbery began today with opening statements from the prosecuting and defense attorneys. Arbery was a 26-year-old black man who was fatally shot near Brunswick, Georgia in February of 2020. Ahmaud
Arbery's mother letting out a heartbreaking cry as she watches video of her son's death for the first time.
I thought it was time to get familiar with what happened to Ahmaud the last minutes of his life. So I'm glad I was able to stay strong and stay in there.
It's been about a year and a half since this video of Ahmaud Arbery's final moments went viral. Now the men accused of killing him get their day in court.
The issue is not whether there was probable cause to conduct a citizen arrest. The issue is going to be, ultimately, whether the Travis McMichael, and perhaps Greg, used excessive force.
In the now infamous video taken by William Bryan, you can see the father and son duo of Gregory and Travis McMichael chasing after Arbery.
Stop or I'll blow your head off. That's what he said to Mr. Arbery.
All 3 men have pleaded not guilty to several charges, including felony murder and false imprisonment. They say they went after Arbery thinking he had something to do with some recent crimes in the neighborhood.
They have to show that they were chasing Mr. Arbery because they were trying to make a citizen's arrest.
Attorney Paige Pate expects the prosecution will argue that a citizen's arrest was not justified and that Arbery was simply jogging through the neighborhood near Brunswick, Georgia.
I anticipate that they will just rely on the clear, critical evidence that they already have.
In Brunswick, Georgia, I'm Daryl Forges.
And if convicted, the men could serve up to life in prison.
So we've been seeing a really cold week so far, and this morning here in Athens we saw temperatures in the mid-20s, which was very cold. I needed to get out my jacket this morning. But right now in Athens we're going to see temperatures right now in the upper 40s. Temperatures will quickly be dropping down overnight into the low 30s. Right now we do see clear skies, humidity is around 28%, pressure is a little high at 30.39 inches, and winds are really calm right now. Looking across the region, temperatures down south are in the low 50s, but there definitely will see temperatures hit the mid to upper 30s overnight. And here in Columbus, we're at around 48 degrees. Looking at the weekend ahead, we're going to continue to see chilly mornings, but we'll start to see a slight warm up, and all weekend it's going to be sunny. It's going to be looking really nice. Now back over to Olivia.
Governor Mike DeWine is publicly opposing the redistricting maps he voted for as a part of the Ohio Redistricting Committee. These maps shown were proposed earlier this week. DeWine is now indicating that he is not happy with the map, saying neither Democrats nor Republicans' proposals are going to work. He says the maps are the beginning of a discussion. He also says he only voted for the original Republican proposed maps because it was clear there was no hope for compromise. Those maps are also subjects of 3 lawsuits before the Ohio Supreme Court, with arguments set for next month. Researchers at West Virginia University are investigating how to keep invasive carp from spreading. The university says the species has caused ecological and economic problems in the upper Mississippi River basin. But the eastern portion of the Mississippi watershed is uninhabited by invasive carp. Brent Murray and Caroline Orantes from the Davis College of Agriculture, Natural Resources, and Design plan to examine the Ohio and Tennessee Cumberland River. They have a 3-year, $151,000 grant from the U.S. Geological Survey. The researchers hope to discover what has kept the fish controlled there. The U.S. job market is recovering from the effects of the COVID-19. Plus, there's a new COVID-19 pill seeking FDA approval. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
We've narrowed down our field after round 1, and it doesn't get any easier from here. The fight to move on continues as we'll be covering the best matchups in the region. We'll be headed to London to see the Red Raiders take on Bishop Hartley. We'll also be checking out Jackson as they host Eastmoor. So turn the channel to WOUB on Friday at 11:30 p.m. for all the action. You won't want to miss it. Let's go!
The way home is different for everyone.
You don't believe that you're chewing on that bird.
Everything could go wrong. Oh my God, what if they shoot us out of the sky?
They put some red paint on me. You're a warrior now. I didn't expect that kind of a welcoming.
I felt so guilty, survivor's guilt.
In your imagination, you're just going to get out of the military and you're going to live happily ever after. Unfortunately, things creep out of your past.
How do you heal of a senseless murder, of an officer killing your son in the middle of the street?
Put your lighters up for Mike Brown.
This was going to be bigger than it looked.
Nobody woke up that morning when their loved one was dying and say, hey, I want to be the face of the movement.
Losing a child is hard. We have to do things that build us back up. The death of my son did do change. It's just the beginning.
Ferguson Rises, Monday, November 8th at 10 on Independent Lens.
It's Elvis Presley!
Elvis was a very patriotic fellow. He was more sensitive now to understanding World War II since he wasn't in it and understanding about this story.
The October jobs report delivers good news about the U.S. economy and industry hit by the coronavirus pandemic, but employers and job seekers still have challenges to tackle.
President Joe Biden upbeat about the nation's economic recovery after a better-than-expected October jobs report.
There's a lot more to be done. We still have to tackle the costs that American families are facing. But this recovery is faster, stronger, and fairer and wider than almost anyone could have predicted.
The Labor Department said Friday morning the unemployment rate dipped to a pandemic-era low of 4.6%, and U.S. employers added 531,000 jobs.
We saw it in business, we saw it in construction, we saw it in retail, we saw it in hospitality, we saw it in healthcare, so that's a good sign. Today was a good, solid report.
Hiring in leisure and hospitality led the way with 164,000 jobs, a positive sign for one of the hardest hit sectors of the pandemic. And amid concerns about holiday strains on the U.S. supply chain, manufacturing and transportation and warehousing also made strong gains. But the labor participation rate remains below pre-pandemic levels as millions of American workers remain on the sidelines, especially those who care for children and other home responsibilities.
there are these rocky periods where, you simply can't smooth over the issues trying to get people back in the labor force, get them retrained.
The tight labor market has pushed average hourly wages higher, almost 5% from 1 year ago, but struggling to keep pace with recent inflation in consumer prices. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
All over America, pushback is building against federal vaccine mandates.
We know that vaccines absolutely save lives, and we know that mandates work.
And now the federal government's mandates have a deadline. People who work with companies that have 100 or more employees, certain healthcare workers, and federal contractors will need to be fully vaccinated against COVID-19 by January 4th. People with big companies will have the option of wearing masks and getting tested every week.
And what we want to do is prevent other deaths. And how do we do it? Making sure that workplaces are safe.
But pushback is building. Louisiana, Indiana, and Mississippi just filed a lawsuit against the Biden administration Thursday, saying the mandates constitute federal overreach and risk negatively impacting the workforce. The Attorney General in Florida says she will legally challenge the mandate for large companies. In South Carolina, Governor Henry McMaster issued an executive order prohibiting state agencies from requiring employees to get vaccinated. The state is one of a long list of states that have already filed lawsuits against the administration. And at least 40 Senate Republicans say they plan to challenge the mandates using the Congressional Review Act. But the White House is standing its ground.
Why are they getting in the way of trying to protect and save lives? That's all we're trying to do.
I'm Britt Conway reporting.
According to the Ohio, Kentucky, and Tennessee also filed a joint lawsuit. They say that the mandates are unconstitutional and the enforcement of these mandates should fall to the states. According to the lawsuit, Congress never gave Biden authority to issue such a large mandate.
It's an experimental pill that Pfizer's preliminary data found reduces the risk of hospitalization or death from COVID-19 by 89% if patients take the pill soon enough. That data has not yet been peer-reviewed or published, but the company will seek FDA authorization.
We plan to submit as soon as possible. Hopefully we will submit before Thanksgiving.
Pfizer says the pill is designed to stop the virus from multiplying. It would be used alongside another known antiviral drug and offered to high-risk patients who would take the treatment at home before they get sick enough to go to the hospital. That was easy. Meanwhile, more shots are going into little arms after the recent authorization of Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine for kids ages 5 to 11. And in a matter of months, the youngest Americans could also be eligible for vaccination.
Look, the trials for kids under 5 have been underway, and we anticipate that in early 2022 is when we may see a vaccine available for kids in that range.
Of the 3 companies with authorized COVID-19 vaccines in the U.S., Pfizer is furthest along in testing shots for children under the age of 5. Moderna is studying its vaccine in children younger than 12, and Johnson & Johnson has planned trials in those younger ages but hasn't started yet.
I'll tell you, I can't wait for it. That's going to be an important day for us as well.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Pfizer says its plan to submit data to the FDA on a new pill it claims will reduce its risk of hospitalization and death from COVID-19. And as more children between the ages of 5 and 11 get vaccinated, focus turns to protecting those under 5. Former presidents and family members pay their respects to Colin Powell. That story is still ahead.
We're going to be seeing sunshine and temperatures will slowly start to warm up this weekend. I'll have more on this in my full forecast coming up on Newswatch. But first, a look at stocks of local interest.
We've narrowed down our field after round 1, and it doesn't get any easier from here. The fight to move on continues as we'll be covering the best matchups in the region. We'll be headed to London to see the Red Raiders take on Bishop Hartley. We'll also be checking out Jackson as they host Eastmoor. So turn the channel to WOUB on Friday at 11:30 p.m. for all the action. You won't want to miss it. Let's go!
So, about that garage of yours. Lots of stuff in there, huh? If you want to make serious space, start with the biggest obstacle in sight. Donate that unwanted vehicle, and we'll put it toward more hours of your favorite programs on public television. You might even get a sweet tax deduction, along with space for that ping pong table. Give us a call to learn more. And thanks.
On Secrets of the Dead.
The Hindenburg's horrible end has shocked the entire world.
Now, more than 80 years later, the list of failures that led to the tragedy can be revealed.
The testing was not very adequate at all.
The money that the Nazis gave had strings attached. The use of hydrogen did make this airship a ticking time bomb.
Hindenburg's fatal flaws on Secrets of the Dead.
This is amazing.
On Finding Your Roots, actor John Lithgow.
I never dreamed that I was personally connected to this.
And journalist Maria Hinojosa.
These are ancestors that I did not know.
Family shockers.
No!
400 years old.
My ancestors came over on the Mayflower.
Plus a DNA match.
Wow.
Turn the page. That explains everything.
Finding Your Roots.
Welcome back to Newswatch. So far this week, it's been really quiet. We haven't seen much in the way of any active weather. It has been very chilly though, and this morning we saw a low temperature at around 25 degrees here in Athens. And so far today, we haven't seen a single cloud in the sky. Most of the active weather has been down into Florida, and out to the west, it's still very quiet. It's all because of this area of high pressure sitting over Ohio, and we do have another high pressure right behind that, so we're still going to be seeing calm and cold weather heading into this weekend, but it'll start to warm up. So looking at tonight, we're going to be seeing temperatures in the upper 30s by 8 p.m. Still not seeing a single cloud in the sky, and winds are going to be calm heading into midnight. And by midnight, we should see temperatures at around 32 degrees, and we will continue to drop down into the upper 20s, and that's still going to be very cold, and we still will see frost on the grass outside. Skies will be clear and winds will continue to be calm. And looking across the region, temperatures will also stay in the mid to upper 20s. But that's going to be changing heading into this weekend, where we still see areas of high pressure controlling our weather, not much in the way of any rain heading into this weekend and even into next week. And looking at tomorrow morning, we do see temperatures starting off at around 27 degrees, but by the afternoon, temperatures will start to head into the mid to upper 50s. It's still going to be dry, and winds will continue to be calm. Heading across the region, temperatures will be in the mid to upper 60s. We're going to be seeing sunny skies, but heading into Sunday, we will start to see temperatures warm up. We should see here in Athens temperatures near 60 degrees. It's going to still be sunny, and winds will still be calm again because of that area of high pressure. And looking across the region, we start to see areas head into the 60s, such as Ironton, but most of the region will stay in the upper 50s with sunny skies continuing. So looking at this weekend, we will start to see temperatures in the mid 50s, but then heading into Sunday, we should start to see some areas hit the low 60s. And the mid 60s will start to return heading into next week. But first we have to deal with cold temperatures in the 30s and heading into around 39 by Monday night. But by Tuesday, low temperatures will be in the mid 40s. Temperatures through the week will be in the mid 60s, so it'll start to feel like fall again instead of feeling like winter like we saw this week. No chances of rain look at the start of the week, but we may see the chance of rain return on Friday with a 50% chance, and temperatures will be in the low 60s heading into Friday. That's a look at the weather for right now, and back over to Olivia.
Thank you, Henry. Former presidents, dignitaries, and family members gathered at the National Cathedral in the nation's capital today to honor a man who helped shape American politics for decades. Sorry, technical difficulties. Now over to weather.
And we are here, Gridiron Glory fans. The man standing next to me is season 17 host Justin Holbrook. Justin, what do we have on docket after the break?
Yeah, big game for Bloom Carroll. I think they're going to win big, but we've also got some games that I think are going to be pretty close. DeSales, big game against Granville. Hartley playing against London, so a lot of good football tonight.
Yeah, now here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
We've narrowed down our field after round 1, and it doesn't get any easier from here. The fight to move on continues as we'll be covering the best matchups in the region. We'll be headed to London to see the Red Raiders take on Bishop Hartley. We'll also be checking out Jackson as they host Eastmoor. So turn the channel to WOUB on Friday at 11:30 p.m. for all the action. You won't want to miss it. Let's go!
This is amazing.
On Finding Your Roots, actor John Lithgow.
I never dreamed that I was personally connected to this.
And journalist Maria Hinojosa.
These are ancestors that I did not know.
Family shockers.
No!
400 years old.
My ancestors came over on the Mayflower.
Plus a DNA match.
Wow.
Turn the page. That explains everything.
Finding Your Roots.
The way home is different for everyone. You don't believe that you're chewing on that bird.
Everything could go wrong. Oh my God, what if they shoot us out of the sky?
They put some red paint on me. You're a warrior now. I didn't expect that kind of a welcoming.
I felt so guilty, survivor's guilt.
In your imagination, you're just going to get out of the military and you're going to live happily ever after. Unfortunately, things creep out of your past.
On Secrets of the Dead.
The Hindenburg's horrible end has shocked the entire world.
Now, more than 80 years later, the list of failures that led to the tragedy can be revealed.
The testing was not very adequate at all.
The money that the Nazis gave had strings attached. The use of hydrogen did make this airship a ticking time bomb.
Hindenburg's fatal flaws. On Secrets of the Dead.
Welcome back to Newswatch. I'm Michael Roth. I'm joined by Gridiron Glory Season 17 host Justin Holbrook, current NBC4 sports reporter. Justin, we got a lot of exciting games tonight, but first let's talk about the game going on behind us, Bloom Carroll and Highland. What can you say about the Bloom Carroll defense?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, Michael, first off. But yeah, Bloom Carroll, I mean, this is just a team that I think really is not going to be matched the rest of the season, at least into a couple weeks into the playoffs. They've had 4 shutouts this year, 9 games of allowing 7 points or less. I don't see that changing tonight. Like I said, this is just a stacked team, and they've got a lot of experience coming back from that team last year that made their furthest run to the Final Four.
Yeah, and offensively for Bloom Carroll, they have been super explosive. They scored 49 points against Highland in week 1. Quarterback KJ Benedict has been huge his senior season. They also put up over 40 points in the first half against Warren week 1. There's a lot more action going on tonight featuring Southeast Ohio teams. A couple battles put Gridiron Glory teams against teams from Columbus. Yeah. Let's start in London, where the Red Raiders have been on a roll this season. After starting 0-2, London has won their last 9 games. They shut out Zanesville in their first round matchup, which sets up another home playoff game for the Red Raiders. That's against the Bishop Hartley Hawks. What can you tell me about them, Justin?
Well, London has a very good defense, but Hartley has a very good offense, so something's got to give. Hartley averages 38 points a game, and they've got a lot of weapons on offense. That's why they score so much. Niall Johnson, Richard Kenny, the list goes on and on, Trey Saunders. It's a very heavy attack on offense. They like to run the ball, run it right at you. So something's got to give. Like I said, I think Hartley's offense is going to be a little too much for London because Hartley's faced better competition in the regular season.
Yeah, it's talking about that better competition. Hartley had a strong season in the Central Catholic League. Another team that had a strong season We're St. Francis de Sales. The Stallions are traveling to Granville to take on the Blue Aces. What do Granville fans need to know about DeSales?
Well, DeSales is a team that had a slow start. They went 2-4 to start the season, but they won their last 4 games. And the biggest thing is they got their linebacker back, and that's Jonathan Thompson. He's a Cincinnati commit, one of the top players, not just in Central Ohio, but in all of the state of Ohio. So I think that he's going to make a big difference, especially with Carson Crouch out. But the thing that you have to know about DeSales, too, is that they run the ball by committee, but especially their quarterback, Whit Hobgood, had a career-high 118 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns in last week's come-from-behind win over Sheridan.
Yeah, and this game is also a rematch from last season where DeSales used their explosive offense to get what they want against Granville. The Blue Aces are stronger on the defensive side of the football. Talking with head coach Wes Schroeder, he seems confident that they're not going to give up 50 points again this time around. It'll be interesting. You kind of teased the Carson Crouch injury.
Yeah.
What are you expecting Granville's offense to do with Crouch on the sidelines?
Really feel too bad for him. I mean, his senior year, he was playing so well this year, threw for 1,500 yards. But with him out, they've got a junior quarterback there in Tyler Enfinger. I think that their big thing is that they're going to run the football early and often. They've got a running back in Devin Haley, who's a very, very good running back, runs hard, someone that you guys haven't probably seen all year, at least from a Granville side of the thing. So I think when you talk about Granville, you talk about Devin Haley, but their best aspect is their offensive line. They're a lot bigger than Division III teams are used to. So look for Devin Haley and that offensive unit on the line to try to push things forward, especially with Carson out.
Yeah, and we've got a couple more games that Gridiron Glory is going to be at. Waverly is trying to get revenge against Clinton Massey after Waverly lost to them last season in the regional semifinals. Now also over in the MBL, John Glenn is taking on Meadowbrook. John Glenn beat Meadowbrook 35-7 in week 5, but the Muskies have suffered a couple injuries. We'll see how the rematch fares. Also, Jackson, they're taking on their second straight Columbus City League opponent as Eastmore takes the trip down south to Southeast Ohio to take on the Ironmen. All that and more Friday night, 11:30 on WOUB. Justin, thank you so much for joining me, for breaking down all of these games. I'll toss it back to Olivia in the studio in Athens.
Thanks, Michael. This weekend,
Great job.
This weekend, most of us will get an extra hour of our day back as daylight savings times ends Sunday. If your area observes it, you will have to set your clocks back 1 hour by 2 in the morning. Make sure to do that before going to bed. The federal government officially established daylight saving time in 1966 to reduce electricity usage, but the idea was first conceived by Benjamin Franklin in 1784. In March, almost every state extends its daylight hours. Hawaii and most of Arizona skip the concept. Some 70 countries around the world also observe daylight saving time, some calling it summer hours.
So we're going to be taking a look at the final weather for this weekend. And for Saturday, we're going to be seeing temperatures in the mid to upper 50s with plenty of sunshine. We're probably not going to even see a single cloud in the sky. It's going to be remaining dry the whole weekend, and we'll see winds remaining calm even through Sunday. Across the region, we'll see temperatures in the mid to upper 50s. Again, still seeing plenty of sunshine across the region from Columbus all the way over to Ripley. Now looking at your 7-day forecast, we're going to be seeing temperatures in the mid to upper 50s. And remember, don't forget to change your clock back by an hour on Sunday. And as we head into the start of the work week for next week, we're going to be seeing temperatures in the mid 60s with nighttime temperatures in the mid 40s, heading into even Friday with a chance of rain. Now I'm going to be handing it back over to Olivia.
Thank you, Henry. And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Olivia Roman. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at woub.org. Have a great night.
Support comes from Dean Heating and Cooling. Stay warm this winter with energy-efficient TempStar heating. Dean Heating and Cooling provides HVAC services and installation in the Athens area, featuring TempStar quality you can feel. Support comes from Ohio University's Center for Campus and Community